Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Absol800 here, coming at you guys today with a new Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. And today's profile is going to be on my Gravekeeper's deck, on my newly updated Gravekeeper's deck for the November 2015 format. Even though we're now in 2016, it's still the November 2015 format. I'm here today to give you guys an updated version of my Gravekeeper deck, and it's in its current state, it's the most recent version that I took to this past San Jose Regional over here in California. I did pretty well at the event and went about 4-2. I had to drop after round 6 and whatnot because of ride situations. That was kind of a pain, but it more or less worked out in the end. At the end of the whole day, I kind of wish I could have stayed longer, but it's nothing different or new for me because I've gone to this past San Jose Regional maybe 4 times now, and probably majority of those times I've taken this deck with me to that regional. Gravekeepers has just been my favorite archetype and favorite deck that I've enjoyed running, and I'd say for the fact of the matter, even though it is kind of slow for the fact on what this current meta has become to, with Pepe being a thing, with Cosmos, with a lot of other decks. Yes, Gravekeepers don't do too well against that current meta, but I was able to do all right against today's meta in terms of a lot of testing and a lot of other willy-nillys that you do to prepare for an event such as a regional. But that's beside the fact. But anyways, I'm here today to give you guys an updated version of my Gravekeeper deck. Just let me know what you guys think of the entire build at the end of the video, and hope you guys enjoy. I'm not going to go into too much detail or description of anything because it's Gravekeepers. Everyone should know what they do at this point. And hopefully at the end when I'm done with this video, I'll be able to record my other video that I want to give you guys and get to you guys. But aside from the fact, here's my updated Gravekeeper deck, and hope you guys enjoy. Alright, for starters, we're running in the Gravekeeper lineup 3 Gravekeepers Commandant. He's your terraforming of the deck, searches out your Necro Valley, goes up to 2100 under the effects of Necro Valley, and its base attack is 1600, so that's pretty helpful and nifty. And 3 Gravekeepers Commandant, pretty standard in the Gravekeeper deck. Next, we're running 3 Gravekeepers Recruiter. He's your secondary searcher of the deck. Searches out any of your Gravekeeper monsters with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand, and you gain that effect of Recruiter once you send from the field to the graveyard. So that alone is a helpful effect to search out your entire deck Gravekeeper monsters apart from Spy. And also in tandem with Descendant plays, you should be Recruiter off to pop a card, and you search out your deck for a Recruiter monster or a Gravekeeper monster. So Gravekeeper Recruiter, 3 of them, pretty self-explanatory and standard. Next, we're running 3 Gravekeeper Spy. Again, another standard amount in the entire deck. 3 is absolutely mandatory. If you run less than 3, then you're probably running, I would say, a turbo version of Gravekeepers, but I haven't seen very many turbo versions of Gravekeepers. But that's beside the point. Gravekeeper Spy, really simple flip effect monster. You flip it up, and its flip effect goes off, allowing you to search a Gravekeeper monster from your deck that has 1500 or less attack, and you special summon it to the field in whatever position you need. And you can use one Spy to search out another Spy for an instant rank 4 Xyz play if you need to. Use this to search out your Recruiter, your Descendant, any of your other Gravekeeper monsters that you need at the moment. Spy is just really awesome in the deck and pretty standard at 3. Next, I'm running 2 Gravekeeper's Descendants. I think 2 Descendant has become the norm in the standard ratio for running this card in the Gravekeeper deck. 2 has probably been a perfect ratio as of late because you don't want to open too often with Descendant because you'd much rather search it with either Descendant, Spy, or with Recruiter. So that alone is one of the reasons why Descendant is probably at a minimum 2. But Descendant's still pretty good. Instant spot removal because you can blow up any card that you need to on your opponent's side of the field. Use its effect to tribute off a Recruiter, a Spy, a Commandant if you need to, and blow up an opponent's card. Descendant's pretty helpful in that factor. Goes up to 2,000 in a Necro Valley, and 2 has been a pretty good ratio as of late. For the 1-0s, we have 1 Gravekeeper's Assailant and 1 Gravekeeper's Heretic. Assailant, really good at getting over problematic monsters. Excuse me. And also for the fact it's also 2,000 and it can run over pretty much anything. Well, Assailant alone can pretty much run over anything it needs to, including in tandem with its effect, because its effect reads is while Necro Valley is out on the field, and when it declares an attack, you can select one face-up monster your opponent controls and change its battle position. So against Pepe, you can use this to run over their Ignister. Against an opposing Cyber Dragon Infinity, if you've baited out its effect, you can use Assailant to run over the Cyber Dragon Infinity because its defense is 1,600. Assailant alone is a good one-of in the Gravekeeper deck. And Heretic, just pretty helpful for not dying to certain effects. And against Pepe, Magic Specters, this card is unaffected by any of their spell and trap cards. So that alone is really helpful. And I thought about running Shaman in the deck, but Shaman being a tribute monster kind of made the deck a little bit slow and somewhat... it kind of became a dead draw whenever you opened it. But Heretic actually worked pretty well in the deck. Next for the standalone monsters, we got Thunder King Rai-Oh. Good standalone 1900. And really good this format just for against search heavy decks such as Pepe. And then we're also running 2 effect failures to help alleviate that going second factor. And it actually works pretty well in this deck, and I actually enjoyed running it. That's it for the monster lineup. On to the spells, we have triple Necro Valley. Really self-explanatory, pretty much standard in any Gravekeeper deck. It's pretty much needed at 3. And then for the rest of the spells, we have triple pot of Duality for consistency. And it's pretty standard because the Gravekeeper deck doesn't really special summon that often. And it doesn't really hurt you that much. So it's been pretty helpful in the sense. Then we also got 2 Gravekeeper Stele. 2 has been the standard, and it's actually worked pretty well. Use this to recycle back your Gravekeepers that have fallen earlier in the duel. Recycle them back to your hand. Recycle a Spy, a Descendant, a Recruiter, a Commandant, any Gravekeeper that you need. Just use this to get one or both of them back. And then for the 1-0s, we have 1 Allure of Darkness, 1 Raigeki, and 1 Royal Tribute. And that's it for the spells. For the traps, we have 2 Grand Horn Heavens. If I had the money and if I had the norm of getting them, I would run Solemn Strikes over this. But this just works in the same. And you don't mind giving your opponent an extra card when this card resolves. This card is just helpful in the sense on alleviating or destroying an entire pendulum summon. Other problematic monsters that this card is really good against. It's also pretty good in general. Next, we're running 2 Lose 1 Turn. Self-explanatory. It switches any monster that's special summon into defense. And this helps in the sense that you can run over pretty much anything that is summoned into defense mode, aside from maybe an opposing Diamond Crab King, but that's nothing too relevant. Then we're running 2 Magic Drain. This has become somewhat the tech card of the format. Excuse me. Tech card of the format in the sense that when your opponent activates a Twin Twisters, they would have to discard 2 cards to get that card's effect off. This card alone has actually just been pretty helpful in the sense of alleviating problematic spells in this format. I don't know. I kind of been enjoying Magic Drain as a card during this format. It's worked out pretty well. Whether it'll stay in the deck or not is up to the format in general. Whether it's going to be useful or not. Next for the spell and for the traps, I'm running 2 Mirror Forces, 2 Rivalry of Warlords. Then for the one-ofs, we have Bottomless, Solemn Warning, and Vanity's Emptiness. And that's it for the trap lineup and the main deck. On to the extra deck, and it's somewhat self-explanatory and pretty much non-existent because Gravekeepers don't really need the extra deck that often. But for the extra deck we're running for rank 3, we have number 49, Fortune Tune. I ran this for the event just for those going into time situations where if you and your opponent are still at 8,000, you can try and go into this, and until the turn count is over for the in-time position, you can hopefully have enough life points to probably win the game right then and there. But this card worked out pretty well in the sense. And then for the rest of the extra deck, it's pretty self-explanatory. You got Abyss Dweller, Garen Gorgon, Castell, Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, Diamond Direwolf, Down Magician, Cowboy for those Cowboy for game scenarios. Diamond Crab King works in tandem with lose 1 turn. Number 66, Master Key Beetle, Heartland Draco, number 85, Crazy Box. This works in tandem with Skill Drain, which I run in the side deck. Ragnar Zero, Trapeze Magician, and Wind Up Zenmeister. This has just been somewhat of a fan favorite of mine in the Gravekeeper deck because you can just use Zenmeister's effect to reflip your Spy in the end phase to get another Spy search effect off in the same turn that you use this card's effect. So that alone is pretty helpful. But that's the extra deck. And then for the side deck, it worked out pretty well for the event, but it might change depending on how the format changes and shifts later on this year. And of course, Monarchs have been released, and I'm not sure how I'll do against the Monarch matchup, but aside from the facts, this deck will probably change after this video. But this has been my current building Gravekeepers. And for the side deck that I ran for the event, it was 3 Gamma Seal. This card probably doesn't need any explanation. Sorry for the sun glare, because the sun's pretty much coming overhead, and the entire light is pretty much just traveling on my camera position. So never mind the glare from what the sun's going to give. But I ran 3 Gamma Seal. This card actually worked pretty well for me going second scenarios. Use this to get over a Cyber Dragon Infinity, any other problematic monster. I can just tribute it off for Gamma Seal's effect, or the way the kaijus summon themselves in general. This card actually just worked pretty well. And it's also been probably one of the most popular new tech cards of the format. 2 Max C, self-explanatory. A second Gravekeeper's Heretic for pretty much how I explained my first copy. And against Magic Spectres, this card is just aces against that deck. I ran triple Twin Twisters. Looking back on it now, I kind of wish I ran regular MSTs instead of this, because the discard factor for Twin Twisters kind of hurt me in the sense, because I don't know, I kind of wish I ran something different than Twin Twisters, but it actually works pretty well from what I was able to do throughout the event. So Twin Twister was good, but I kind of wish I ran something different instead of this. But Twin Twisters worked pretty well. Then we got Double Mind Crush, self-explanatory. Everything in this format is still searching nonstop, and you can use this to get rid of problematic pendulum monsters. And against Cosmos, you can use this to get rid of their ships without having to destroy them. Double time space. This comes in over Grandhorn when Grandhorn is subpar. Time space is a little bit more superior. And then also we've got, for the 1-ofs, we have Skill Drain and Soul Drain. On the field, just negate anything that's on the field, and this stop any graveyard relying effects, such as Mermail and Burning Abyss, and any other graveyard relying effects. Soul Drain was pretty helpful, and Skill Drain was also pretty helpful. I will say, though, I rarely cited these in. Skill Drain maybe 1 or 2 times, but I don't know. This side deck worked out pretty well for me in the event overall. Alright guys, that's been my entire updated Gravekeeper deck. Again, let me know what you guys think of my updated version of Gravekeepers. I will leave the entire deck list in the description bar below. Let me know what you guys think, and hope you guys enjoyed.